Still offline on YouTube and restream. That's weird because I use the restream thing to go through here, but it still says it's offline here. But it's on Twitch. That's so weird. What's going on? Why are you not working? Oh, YouTube looks like it says receiving your content. So it's going on YouTube. Oh, it's going on YouTube. Here we go. We're live on YouTube. It just doesn't say it's live here. I'm going to unmute this for a second and see where this is. Oh, it's going on YouTube. Okay. Oh, it just takes a little longer to get to YouTube. Still says it's offline here, which is confusing me.
Oh, I got a notification. Watch now. Line Rider quick reviews.
Sweet. Well, should we just go from here, or should I restart it with an actual stream?
I mean, I'm ready.
All right, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Why not? All right. So this is So You Think You Know Curves by lots of people.
It's just Flagcapper, Lucking, Sheldon. Oh, and then it also featuring
mainly
Chuggers and Anton.
Flagcapper, Lucking, and Sheldon, and then Chuggers and Anton also did stuff apparently. I get the feeling that Flagcapper and Lucking were like the big movers and shakers, and then Sheldon also did some stuff, and then ended up doing some more stuff, and then Chuggers and Anton got added in because wherever Sheldon is, they follow. That's my guess. There's not really a lot of information on what happened, but
we will see. I'm a fan.
All
Let's
right.
go.
3, 2, 1, go.
So, Electro Swing intensifies.
Yeah, do you want to talk about the title, or should we talk about that later?
So You Think You Know Curves. Well, this part I don't have much to say. I like it.
That's a cool recycle.
Yeah,
and that's a cool recycle.
The sort of minimalist, like miniature and blue stuff.
Yeah,
I like.
yeah.
And the back and forth swing is awesome.
I'm curious.
Curves...
One thing that's going to be a common thing for me is that I'm very curious of how a lot of this was made. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think when it gets this fast, it's where it loses.
Yeah.
Me.
Why?
But I'm spoiled by Mountain. I'm spoiled by Mountain.
Yeah.
Mountain has spoiled me. These curves are so shaky and
jittery,
weird and full of stabilizers, and they're fast and they're fluid, but they're also this chaotic mess that I know that stuff like Mountain takes time, but now that I've seen it, it's for me personally, that's the only way to go.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think they would say, well, he goes a lot faster than he ever does in Mountain. You know?
Does he need to? Though?
That's a very good question.
And the other thing is, a lot of these manuals, I feel like they couldn't get him to stably recycle the manual. So what they did instead was they just had him roll a bunch, and then when they get to slower speeds here, they recycle a complete curve.
I feel like this is the kind of thing that's it's crazy impressive when you do it in beta 2, and then with the new LRA tools, it's once you understand how it's done, which I'm pretty sure is just tiny little acceleration lines carefully placed.
Yep.
And it's basically you just find a wet place where it affects a contact point the second time around and not the first time around. And it's oh, well, that's significantly less interesting once you realize that's what goes into it. So, and it's also, I mean, I guess there's a big thing where it's it's disconcerting because I'm not sure what took effort and what didn't in this, and there's so much lore in Line Rider about how hard things were to make, And then in this one, it's like, I have no idea how hard or easy this was to make. And so a lot of it, I mean, a lot of it's based on being like, you're supposed to be like, whoa, how did they do that? That's amazing. But then for me, it's like, well, it's like, I feel like part of me is like, whoa, how did they do that? And then also part of me is like, well, for all I know, this could have been super simple, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah. I think a lot of it rides on the assumption, or rather, it rides on the idea, bit of a gamble, I think, that you're supposed to find every single thing in here impressive regardless of the effort.
That's also true, is that something that I think you're alluding to is that the track is very random. There's a lot of different things happening, and a lot of the things that are happening are new things that people haven't done before, but it's very, very random. There's a lot of different things happening, and I don't know. For me, I'm kind of constantly like, okay, but why?
It's all over the place. It does a lot of cool stuff. I don't know if I'm able to appreciate the cool stuff as much if it's not placed in a good context.
Yeah. It's hard for me to appreciate when I don't actually know what went into making it, which is something I was hoping they would be like, here's how we made all this stuff.
Yo, developer commentary this, please.
Yeah. Some of it I think I can guess at how they made it, and other things I'm just like, I don't really know how easy or difficult this was to make. And maybe that's like kind of the goal, is like they're trying to confuse the audience and just get us to be like, I don't know how you did it, but it's
that big old question mark is me.
I guess. I mean, maybe that's the point. And that it starts to feel okay. I mean, I hesitate to use this word, but I think it's accurate. It starts to feel elitist to me when it's this, when it creates this atmosphere of, we're doing all this stuff that was really difficult in Beta 2, and we're using LRA, but you don't know if it's difficult or not because you've never made these things, you know? It's like we don't want to give up our secrets, but it's also like, but you know, why do I care about your secrets when they're...
I'd be careful, though. That might just be a projection from the track's title.
That's something that...
Which...
Yeah. Definitely. You want to watch it quarter speed, and we can talk about the title?
Yeah.
It's a good segue.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. So go ahead. Talk about the title.
So you think you know curves. The implication in this title... And this could be, I don't know, I could be reading very too far deep into this. The implication here is that these folks know curves. And the implication there is, up until this point, I don't.
Yeah.
No one else does. And I don't take that as like an insult, but I do think it's misplaced. Because... I don't think it's wrong for me to find the parts of Mountain that are so smooth and controlled and consistent, and you can see the detail that went into it, and you can like watch in every single frame these moments that are just like a lot of care was put into it, and when there are parts of this, like I like a lot of Flycapper's parts because he tries to maintain a single aesthetic, which is that very like simplistic manual and like occasional
I have
small
to say,
line
like,
thing.
This part is probably my favorite part of the whole track.
Yeah. The opening and like bits of the end where he's doing weird shit with the loop, they're at least smooth and they're at least designed to maintain some kind of like central aesthetic, something that like ties it together. Flycapper's parts are cohesive. In the context of the whole piece, they're not. But on its own, you can look at Flycapper's parts and say, this could be a track of its own. Brief break for drink. Yeah, the title "So You Think You Know Curves" just irks me because I'm not entirely sure they do.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as like a shots fired, ooh, you got insulted kind of thing, but I just mean when you look at, again, I keep citing this because I'm spoiled. Uh, the track Mountain just exerts so much control over every
And I mean,
part
I think
of
when you use the word control, like when we watch this part, like you could argue like, oh, this part's more controlled because he goes faster and he gets like super fast and then he gets super slow again and it's all like super
and then he like
controlled. But it's
maintains.
like it's not so
I'm
much a
specifically
control
talking
about
about
like what you're able to do with Bosch at high speeds where it's difficult to control him, but like control in terms of aesthetic and control in terms of what we're seeing. You know, what we see here is it's
aesthetic positioning
yeah,
rotation.
what we
Uh,
see here is like he's going really fast and it gets super wobbly, and mostly I'm just like, okay, that's it, that's cool, like that's an interesting idea, but what are you gonna do with it? And the answer is nope, we're gonna move on to something else now.
yeah, and a lot of these things are like super structurally interesting, but nothing ties it
Yeah.
together.
So
Um,
I am really interested, but I'm more than liking the track. I'm just really curious how this stuff was made because there's some interesting like brain food in here for creating things that are cohesive, like like you know the super fast acceleration on lines. Like there's some interesting potential there. And then like
yeah,
the recycles using the tiny acceleration lines, like there's some interesting potential there, you know. Um, I like you know I think about Opal talking about how sometimes to maintain a certain aesthetic, you want Bosch to just ride back on the same line, and now it seems like oh maybe that's possible, you know, and it's more easily
yeah.
possible than ever before. So I'm really curious what what techniques were used. Oh, this is like this part is just like what? This not even a curve.
It feels braggadocio.
Yeah.
It feels like
So
braggadocio.
it's like it's
Uh,
interesting to have that just thrown in there. And interesting, I mean, in a
uh,
very Minnesotan passive aggressive way, of having to just like thrown in there where it's like, so you think you know curves, and it's like this thing. I'm like, this is not even a curve, but
do you is the question. Uh, but here's a sort of a larger point I want to build
yeah,
towards.
yeah,
A lot of the tracks we as a community make, I'm guilty of this. Lots of people are guilty of this. It's not a bad thing, but it is something we do a lot. Is we when we make tracks, we don't start with something and then work from that like central idea. We have sort of like a few like buzzwords going on in our head, like recycle or like fling, and then we just throw shit out there until something
yeah,
sticks. And that's good if you want to get a bunch of crazy cool ideas out there, which this track does in spades. There are lots of really cool
yeah.
like
Maybe at some
recycle
point we should
moments. And
talk about the things that are interesting about this track that we like and would
yeah,
like to see more development on.
um, and there are tons of moments here that make me go like, "Holy shit, what?" Um, but it's tough to comment on when it's wrapped into a very muddled, foggy package.
Yeah. And then with the title like that, I have a hard time getting
Yeah,
over the title when I'm just like it feels very condescending, you know, and it's like I I I I I I you know, you don't have to know how to do all this stuff to know curves. Like it just I don't know.
um, I would say, I
I guess
don't know,
what
man.
does that
It's
mean though? Like like what does it mean to know curves? Um I don't know.
yeah. Now that I think about it, the title is actually like nonsense. Not in the sense that I don't like the title. I don't for reasons I've already explained, but it just doesn't really make sense.
Anyway, maybe we should
Let's go back to the start and let's talk about some of the cool shit we like here. Let's go through this track on a
let's
more discrete ideas based thing. Sound
That
good?
sounds good, because we've just been talking generally about it,
Let's
and we've gone through like half of it. All right.
yeah. Let's start at 9 seconds.
Okay, let me get there.
I'm still at quarter speed.
Okay.
So
9 seconds. No. Okay. All right, ready. 3, 2,
Yep.
1, go.
Bam. All right.
So the first thing that's interesting is that Flagcapper takes the miniature in blue idea, which there's some really cool stuff that he did in miniature in blue involving recycling. And he's basically, I feel like how this track started out is probably he was like, what if I use red lines? And what other things can we explore with red lines with this sort of smooth, curvy recycling stuff? And then it quickly got really dramatic when Lucking got
I like
into
this
Paul
opening a
Players.
lot. Mm-hmm.
You know what we should go? You know what
I
we
like-
should do? We should start from the color replay and play that in quarter speed.
Okay.
Let's skip ahead. So let's start at 252. 253, sorry. 253. Let me know when you're there. All right.
I'm there.
3, 2, 1, go.
I wonder if the annotations appear at quarter speed. Yep.
Perfect.
There's Flagcapper.
So anyway, what I said about Flagcapper. What were you going to say?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good summary of it. I would say miniature in blue with red.
Yeah, and that's really interesting.
Yeah. I think it allows them to be a little more precise.
It allows
here.
a little more precise and a little like more just capabilities in terms of recycling. You can recycle more things
and like
more times in
and
more
control.
ways.
And I would also say a better ability to like maintain a consistent aesthetic without like weird stabilizers and shit all over the place.
Exactly. That wasn't the things. One of the things in miniature in blue is that there's a bunch of stabilizers everywhere, and it's like that's, it's an interesting aesthetic, but it didn't totally fit the like super clean polished thing he was going for.
Yeah.
And it's like if you understand why the stabilizers are there, then it's like, oh, then it's cool. But in this, it's also cool because you don't see the stabilizers. The stabilizers are effectively tiny red lines.
Yep.
And then you can see
like,
the really cool
there's
potential
also-
here where he recycles his tail manual once and then twice. And it's like, oh, that's actually really cool. It's a tail manual, and then he recycles it once, and then he recycles it again, just using the tiny red lines. And then I don't really know what he was smoking when he decided to do this. I gotta say.
You remember that bit from Watt? I think it's like that, but
It
faster.
is. It's a lot like that bit from Watt, which is interesting. I don't know. Like, it's. I feel like there's an untapped idea here, and then it gets super fast. Basically, I think isn't this just like hyper stacked red lines?
Oh yeah.
And they're just frame based red lines, and then he does it and makes the angle such a way so that he stays in a sort of a manual position. It's like
That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay.
Really low nose manual, and then that was some rolling. So it's
Dude, I figured out what it is. What sort of gets me. When people make high-speed manuals, it's impossible to think of them in terms of an overall structure. When you do slower ones, you can be like, I want it to be sort of shaped like this, and you can change all the little things. When you're high-speed, you have to do it frame by frame. One of the things that I think did with Mountain is that he would regularly look at the structure and continual movement of the manual as a whole when he did it. And so that allowed him to be super smooth when he did stuff, and that's not really something
I think I
don't suspect was tapped here.
I do think that here they're not going for the same aesthetic. They're going for like a look at how powerful this is sort of a feel.
Yeah.
I'm just frankly not interested, and maybe that's post ham mindset, but like referencing Rideliner's track, which but it's just it's interesting the fact that that's possible to like speed him up super quickly with just a manual line. So that I guess that is interesting, but it's like it's not explored aesthetically, it's not explored artistically, it's not explored within the context of a larger work. I mean, there is no context. He just suddenly speeds up super fast, you know?
And like the rest of the way the track is framed doesn't acknowledge that.
Yeah.
There's no like real music change aside from like maybe some additional bass. Whatever it is, it's really subtle and is probably just adding like a hi-hat or something like that. Because the song itself is not
it's definitely not
dynamic
an attempt to line up a song with a track. I don't know if this was made to music or not, but if it was made to music, the music was certainly not a primary player. It's certainly an afterthought.
And they're just random moments that are just like, oh, there's
the
a
stuff
zero
that Sheldon
rotation
did strikes me a lot. Strikes me like it has a lot in common with Interrobang and the stuff that Sheldon did in there, where it was like, here's a green line, and then here's a bunch of lines on top of that green line, which is interesting. It's just like, what are you gonna do with that? And then like the quote unquote curves that are like super not curvy, and then later we get like well, here's just some rolling. But later we get to like there's like that loop that is like it's like a nose chain, and then he recycles it, quote unquote, because he connects it with green lines, and then those super small lines to begin with. And I don't know. It's like that's an interesting aesthetic, but like if you're just I want to see more is what I'm saying. Like we already saw a lot of this experimentation in Interrobang, and there's like more things being thrown out here, but I want to see more stuff. I want to see more. Not more stuff. I think we've seen plenty of stuff to experiment with. I want to see more attention paid to what kind of track you're trying to make. If that makes any sense. I want to see.
Yeah, a sense of coherence. A sense of coherence.
And even if that sense of coherence is like we're just going to throw out a bunch of stuff, like this track was clearly not planned that way, and it just ended up that way. And I would love to see more. I don't know. I would love to see more attention to what are we trying to do with this, and I'd love to see more thought put into what kind of aesthetic, like what sort of aesthetic does this kind of a thing that we're doing create, or like what sort of a what kind of reactions will an audience have to this, and not an audience that already knows all of the Line Rider lore about recycling and high-speed tracks and stuff like that, because it's I mean I maybe that for some people that's their target audience and they want to blow people's minds with the new tools of LRA. For me, I'm like it's not as interesting as creating a universal experience, or maybe not even a universal experience, but creating an experience for more people than people who understand what's going on.
Basically, in conclusion, I'd like to say, in response to the question, so you think you know curves, do I need to?
That's a good question.
Is it necessary for me?
Is it necessary for me to understand curves in the way you're portraying them in this track in order to get something out of what people create, or in order to critique what you're doing, or in order to enjoy what people are doing in Line Rider, like like maybe it is necessary for people to understand like the intricacies of Line Rider history and what goes into making a track in order to appreciate a track. But I hope not, because then we're in for a very, very dull future.
We will see. We will see.
What were you going to say?
My parting thoughts are, convince me. I'm not convinced yet. Convince me that I need to know these curves.
Convince me that the stuff that is in this track is valuable. Convince me that these techniques are used. Convince me that I should invest in learning how you made this stuff. If you made a video, I would totally watch it. But right now, I'm not going to pick up Line Rider and be like, I want to know how they did that, because that was super cool. Right now, I'm just kind of like, well, you did a bunch of stuff that I had no idea what you were doing, but I don't see the value in it yet, you know? Anyway.
I think that's a good place to leave
Yeah.
off. And I don't mean that in like a very kingly, like debauched Roman emperor, convince me kind of way.
I guess I'm not trying to say, I'm not trying to adopt the same attitude of superiority that I feel coming off of this title and also the track in general. And I'm not trying to get into a war of superiority here. The way this reads to me as someone who doesn't know exactly what was done is that I'm not supposed to know what was done, but I'm somehow supposed to appreciate it even though I don't understand what's going on. So I don't know. Things to think about. I guess I don't want to add. I don't want to give you like any specific advice, but like that's my reaction. That's our reactions. Should we talk about the ending at all before we sign off? It's the same thing. The same thing. It's just like, why is this? Convince me that this is worthwhile.
It's also not actually real.
Wait, really? It doesn't actually repeat?
Yeah, no.
Did they just? Yep. Oh, really? That's strange. I bought it. Bought it.
It does for a while, I think, but it doesn't
completely repeat. Interesting.
I think there's some glitch in the Matrix along the way. Anyway.
I guess that's it. This kind of got long, so we should probably call that a day. There's our slightly incoherent, rambly thoughts about this track. Thanks for watching.
Nice.
Bye.
Do we have questions?
Oh, not really questions, but we can just go live and talk about what's being said.
Yeah.
Or I think we're live right now.
Okay.
We have resumed. Hello, everyone. We're back. That was our official review. During the review, people were saying things, and so we're gonna talk to people now, since there were actually people in the chat, which normally doesn't happen. First of all, hi Apple from our YouTube chat. If you have any questions for us while we're going through this, feel free to ask. Lucking says, the intention was we have a bunch of ideas for the general theme of curves that have not done before, and we wanted to showcase them. And I'd say that's valid. It's just not super interesting to me if you're not going to show me how you did them.
That's a fair assessment. No, yeah, that's a totally valid reason.
I don't know if you're still.
I don't find it
here, Lucking, but
I don't find it a particularly compelling reason, but that's a personal thing on my part.
What did you say?
I don't find it a particularly compelling. Just here are some ways we haven't looked at curves.
Although,
before.
I mean, see, this is the thing is I think that we're just our jam is a lot more our jam is a lot more like exploring aesthetic and exploring the movement of Bosch and exploring what do things look. Oh gosh, I just realized you're not on the stream because I was looking at Lucking's text. There you are. You're back. Okay.
Hi. Yes.
I was just we're much more interested in seeing new explorations with, say, The Mountain Will Fall, where it's a very experimental piece, but there's all sorts of things with aesthetic, which is playing. Shout out to Apple, who's actually watching us right now.
Finger guns.
But it's like, there's a lot of things that you see that are like, ooh, that looks really interesting or cool. And there was some of that in Interrobang, and there was some of that in Miniature in Blue, which is why we were big fans of some of the stuff that happened in Interrobang and a lot of the stuff that happened in Miniature in Blue. In this track, it's like there's a lot of sort of technical things that are being explored, and it's like, okay, this is kind of interesting if it was presented as like, here's a toolkit for maybe we can, together, figure out how some things work, and come up with new techniques. But instead, it seems like it's this expose of technical. Oh, hello, kitty. My cat just jumped up on my chair. It's like it's an expose of technical developments, and that's like that. It doesn't mean it's worthless. It's just not as exciting to watch, and so that doesn't mean that you shouldn't. That doesn't.
I should probably clarify.
I just want to finish my sentence. It doesn't mean that it's not worthwhile, and it doesn't mean I'm not interested in it. It just means that maybe I would say that like a video of the track is not really as interesting to me as, say, a tutorial on how to do the technique. Go ahead.
Yeah. When I say I don't find it particularly compelling, what I mean, and I have to clarify this, is I don't find it as a reason in and of itself particularly compelling to me. So there's like 5 qualifiers going on there.
I'm not sure I follow. You might have to elaborate.
The subjectivity of it. Like, I just as a critic on my own, am not going to find that particularly interesting. Oh, that's a cute kitty. I get distracted halfway through. And that doesn't mean it's not worth exploring, but I'm just personally, as a reviewer, going to be a little less interested in it. And specifically as sort of the sole thing, it doesn't do it for me. And I mean, it's a valid reason to make a track.
Yeah, it's like I'm not saying that these things shouldn't be explored. It's it's more like it's not a very entertaining track. There was a little bit of shock value when I first watched this. I have to say that, of like, we watched it when I first saw it. I was like, what? Like, what just happened? And then I watched it again. I was like, oh, I see what they did. I think maybe. Okay.
So yeah.
I also might have been perturbed by the title the first time I watched it, so that might have made a difference to my first viewing.
Shocked at this knowledge of curves.
I guess I haven't seen. I don't see any more questions. I don't see anyone saying anything else. So I think that's all we have to say. This will.
Yep.
I don't think we'll save this like afterward.
Put it up as unlisted.
Yeah, I'll put it on YouTube as unlisted, and it'll get saved in Twitch. But I probably won't make it a highlight. But thanks for our first post-review Q&A session. That was actually kind of cool. We should do this again.
Nice.
All right. Are we going to do another review, or do you have to head out?
I need to head.
Damn. It's only 3:40.
Yeah.
Hi, Kitty.
Yeah, I got some stuff. I gotta do.
Well,
I've entered the corporate video editing world.
No.
Yeah. No, it's I have to make something in the style of those like Now This style videos.
Fun. If you know any way I could like get on that'd be awesome, actually. Like, that's something that I can do, and I want to do more of that stuff.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, it's this one's a case of nepotism.
What's that? Wait, what?
It's a case of nepotism because
nepotism as in you're ruling something, and you also have a business that is getting like what does nepotism mean? I'm trying to figure out. I'm gonna Google nepotism. Nepotism.
My parents work at the company.
This has now become like Rabid and OTD hang out and talk about nepotism. What is nepotism? The practice among those with power or influence favoring relatives or friends. Oh, so you're making this for a friend. That's what you're saying.
I'm making this for relatives who work at a company. So.
All right. Cool.
So, sorry, but it appears that was the process. Luck. I mean, you're probably a better video editor than I am.
Oh, well,
So
thank you. I, I'm flattered.
you do more of it, and you have more experience with audio. You were the one who taught me how to do the friggin'
I
this is how you
suppose,
render
yeah.
things.
Like motion graphics,
I
I
had
definitely
no
would agree with you that I have more experience with motion graphics.
I have no idea how to.
It's
I had no idea how
fun.
to do the
It's fun.
rendering.
You should read up on it and stuff.
I have a Lynda subscription. I'm gonna use it.
I had a Lynda subscription for a while, but I like realized like, oh, I'm not actually using this well enough for it to be worth the money, so I stopped, and then I never watched Lynda again because I didn't have a Lynda subscription. Circular logic.
Alrighty, I gotta head.
Luxio just asked me if I can stream Line Rider after this. I actually think I'm gonna have to go at like in like half an hour, so there's not really a good reason for me to. I would get like all set up and then start to work and then I have to leave. So I don't think I'm gonna stream anymore today. But thanks for dropping in.
I've got.
You can head. See ya.
I've got J term break over the next like week or so.
Oh
So we can
yeah.
find some.
Oh yeah.
We can find some times to
when should we
work
do
on
the next
stuff.
one? Maybe tomorrow or Monday or.
I'm again corporate world video editing
Not sure.
for tomorrow.
We can play it by ear. You can get
my,
back to me on that. I'm pretty much free a lot.
That's my deadline on that. Once I get that done, I might have some time on Monday, depending on what you're doing.
Lucking just said something. Do you guys want to give me some feedback on a 30-second track bit I made? I can look at it. I think Seth has to go, but
I am outie.
Let's just play it by ear.
All right.
Text me when you know. I'll remind you incessantly. You know, the usual.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So Gucci. I'll see you.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so I'm just gonna like point the camera down here so you can see my cat being adorable because she's being adorable. Look at this. Oh my god. She's literally smashing her face into my stomach. But yeah, I can totally look at your thing. Just send it my way. Actually, you could even like Skype me if you want. Okay, I see. It's been sent. Let's go check it out. I'm guessing this is LRA only, so I will open it with LRA. Oh, yes, yes. Willow here is extremely distressed when I stop scratching her neck. This might make this slightly difficult. We'll manage. Okay, song is coming. Offset is 0.3. I guess I could. I'll just wait until we get the song. Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll just keep your chat down here then, so people can see what you type on the stream. Oh yeah, purr. Yes, yes. I don't know why I'm saying yes. I'm just. Yes. I do have a cat. I've been turning the camera down here every once in a while, but here's the cat. She's pretty lovely. Purr. No worries. I got time. I don't have infinite time, but I have a little bit of time. Yeah, I need like I need a second camera. I'll just keep the camera pointed down here until we. It's hard for me to like see what's on the screen while the camera's while I have the screen tilted. I'm basically just tilting my laptop screen. Oh, hi. Here's your kitten cam though. My makeshift kitten cam. See, she's like literally just smashing her face into my stomach. Yeah. This is why I like cats. Cats are so they're so self-sufficient, I want to say. Like they can look after themselves. But then at least this cat, or this kind of cat. Lucking, you could upload it to like Dropbox or Mediafire or Google Drive or somewhere like that if you want. Sometimes Skype doesn't like file transferring. Also, check if it's an MP3. If it's like a WAV file, then it might just be taking a long time to send, because WAV files are like, many times the size of MP3 files. Oh, there it is. Oh, another Edabond and Chris Loco. Downloading. Yeah. All right, here we go. Songs. Minor in Advance is opening. Oh, you know what? I should probably switch to a thing where you can actually see LRA, shouldn't I? Get rid of these. Let's minimize all this crap. Still opening. Zoom is 12. Okay. The zoom is going to actually be kind of impossible because, as you'll see, LRA does not like Retina screens. Okay, now it's just taking forever to open. Come on. What's the holdup? I can quit that. Can't quit that or that or that because those are all in use. But the thing with LRA and a Retina screen is that it's like just super tiny. You'll see it once it opens, if it ever does. I don't know why it's taking so freaking long. But once it opens, you'll see that it's like it opens at like 720p widescreen. Yeah, there it is. Now you can see it. This is the size of the window. So it's just so tiny. So the zoom level is probably. So I just have to expand it, but then it's still. Oh God, why does it do that every time I click away and click back? It makes pencil marks. Whatever. We're gonna load up whatever track this was. What was it called? 102.trk. 102. There it is. 102. Oh. Oh, you want some more neck scratches? Okay. Loading. Oh. I can't tell what you want. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Oh, that's what you want. You just want me to scratch. You just want to scratch right there, don't you? All right. Oh boy. Let's zoom in a bit. Now I'm gonna load. So tiny. Nope, I don't want to load. I want a music song. Oh, what was it? What was it called? Edabon and Chris Loco feels like. Is it 0.3 or 3? Because here it says 3. I'm gonna put 0.3. And now it has to convert the file to OGG, which it does every time. All right, here we go. Oh wait, no. Okay, there we go. I think that's right.
Hey, you're right. Yeah, you about? Yeah. Can I get a score? Okay, cool. I'm not there yet, but I'll call you when I'm nearby. Right? We're about 15 minutes. Okay, cool. Same place, yeah? Yeah. All right, babe. I just wanna smoke this
Nice.
weed, stare at the ceiling. Life might have a meaning. You can keep your alcohol, shining or smoke alone. Lie with me, stare at the ceiling. What is this feeling? It don't come from alcohol.
Nice. Okay, first I gotta turn this out, the volume down, because otherwise you're not gonna be able to hear me. Just realized it was like super loud after I started it. It syncs for me. It might just be something wrong with. Oh yeah, that's the problem. That'll probably help. Syncing in OBS is just a pain.
Aisha? Alright, babe. Alright, babe. I just wanna smoke this weed.
I'm gonna watch this and see how it's doing in syncing.
Alright, babe. Alright, babe. I just wanna smoke this weed.
Okay, it looks like it's lined up now. So, okay, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna watch it at half speed.
Alright, babe. Alright, babe. I just wanna smoke this weed, stare at the ceiling.
It's not half speed. Okay, so I love how it starts here. And I love how he pauses there. You're thinking he's gonna spin, but he just pauses and glides to the right. I like everything you're doing in this, to be honest. Like, that's great. This is great. Miniature and blue all the way. And I love how it's unexpected because he's using the line. It's great. And then that's great because he like pops through it where you think it's like and then it's like, oh, it's actually a green line. Anyway, I'm a big fan.
I just wanna smoke this weed,
but mostly I'm just a fan of how well it lines up and how consistent it is. Like it never varies far from. It's interesting. There's sometimes where it's not totally synced up with the snare, and I'm not sure if that's intentional. Everywhere I've seen it so far, I like it. I'm just not sure if you're aware. Like there, it's very tightly synced. Right there, it's not so tightly synced. So if we back up here a bit, right here, it's like it's the snare isn't synced. It's synced with the you can keep the, and it like works. I don't know if that was intentional, but in my opinion, it works pretty well. Oh god, I can't scrub. It's so tiny. And then there, it's like it doesn't feel like it syncs with the snare. It feels like it syncs with the join in. What did she say? And then there, it right here, it also doesn't sync with the snare. It doesn't quite sync with the snare. It's like. But it kind of works. I don't even know why this works, honestly. It's like. And then here, it's like the bass drum actually hits right here. So it's like right there is where the bass drum hits. But it works because she's singing this like "Fly Away with Me" or whatever she's singing here. Fly with me. And then that syncs great. So it's like when you toy with the sync like that, it works. Even if it reads as intentional, even if it's not intentional. So if it's not intentional, I would just say try to be super conscious of when you're syncing it. Like, okay, so I'm just gonna go through the whole thing here for a second. Tightly synced, tightly synced, tightly synced, tightly synced, tightly synced, not 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 tightly synced, and then tightly synced, tightly synced, tightly synced, tightly synced. Well, see that, and that one's interesting because it's like part of it's tightly synced, and part of it's not. So it feels like you're like stare at the ceiling. What is she? Where is that? Yeah, stare at the ceiling. Like it works really well. To me it feels like it's like tightly synced, tightly synced, tightly synced. You're like, see, I can do the tightly syncs, and then you throw it off deliberately. And if that's not your intention, then that's just a good note to be like, maybe playing with that is a good thing, because it works really well in these instances that you happen to accidentally apparently do it. Because you're expecting like hard syncs with the snares here, and instead you get like these more flowing syncs with the words, where here it's like, instead of being like bam, bam, there's nothing where I was just saying bam, there's nothing actually happening, and instead it's switching to singing. And it feels like it's much more flowing, and it's going with the words. So it's like and then this one feels like, you know, there's like that deliberate anticipation. That's why it works. Is there's a deliberate and there's a very clear anticipation here. So you go, and it's like you're expecting it on that snare, and the fact that it's like the snare goes and then Bosch goes, it's like there's this palpable like resolution, you know. Anyway, it's like it's like doom, bat go, doom, bat go. It's like doom, snare, Bosch, you know, and it's like it's almost like Bosch is another instrument, you know. It's like if you added like an extra instrument in there, it was like bass drum, snare, instrument, except instead of an instrument, it's Bosch moving. And it's like Bosch is going in that dead space, and it works because you have this like he sits here for like pause, and it's, you know, it's like it feels like it's deliberately not synced. So if it's an accident, it's a good accident. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, the fly with me here, and it's like that one's also late, which I guess there's no real good reason to have that one late. So maybe at this point it was just your syncs were a little off or something. But like, but the fly with me when he flips, that's what works. And so you can almost like, if I didn't know that this was accidentally off, I would have thought that this was that was like you're expecting it to sync with the snare, but it's actually like he flies through the air, you know. And then there's that lovely, I mean, I love how it's like there's that bass drum right there, and he's just in the middle of the air. And it's like, you're just like, nope, not syncing to this bass drum, you know? But then you get with me, stare at the ceiling. It's this lovely, like, manual, like, nose manual, roll to tail manual, you know? And then here, it's that the first time I watched it, that's where I was like, yeah, because that's where it goes back into syncing correctly, you know? So it's like loose, 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 bam, right on, you know? So like, oops. Trying to scrub. Let me go back a bit. So right here. So it's like it has this deviation from the tight syncs right here.
Life might have a
So it's like,
meaning, you
oh,
can
now we're
keep your
loose, we're loose,
alcohol.
we're loose.
Shining
And then
all
it's like,
smoke
you're
around.
expecting to be tight, and it's like, nope, we're still loose, we're loose, we're loose, we're loose. And then boom, boom.
Is this feeling? It don't come from alcohol.
And then it's like, it just feels good to have that like loose, 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 boom, boom. And especially when the tight sync is something that you're not expecting, because it's like, this is when we go back to the tight sync, and it's just a flat line, and it's all of a sudden it's just like boom, and you're like, oh yeah, we're back to the beat, you know? Anyway.
This feeling, it don't come from alcohol.
And then there, it feels like it plays with it a little bit, because it's like,
Come from alcohol.
it's like kind of tightly synced there, and kind of not actually, yeah. Because it's like it's not perfectly tightly synced, and that could have been done a little better here. But then it's like, and then it syncs with the guitar. What is that? Or whatever, right there, where he goes in the loop. Anyway. Anyway. That's my thoughts. So let's start from the beginning.
Sweet, stare at the ceiling. Life might have a meaning. You can keep your alcohol. Shining all smoke around. Lie with me, stare at the ceiling. What is this feeling? It don't come from alcohol.
I guess, okay, so my least favorite parts of the track, let me go through and find parts that bug me a little bit.
This way, stare at the ceiling. Life might have a meaning. You can
What he does in here, it's a little unclear what's going on. So like, that's great, but then like, there's like, boom, boom, bop. And what he's doing is kind of like, boom, boom, bop. And the music is going boom, boom, bop. So it's like, it's a little disconnected. And it feels like it's like forgivable, because it could just be like, we're loosening up into this section. But then I would say that another thing that bothers me is this one right here. That one, it feels a little late. And oftentimes when you have super precise syncs like this, it's what it feels like matters more than what it actually is. So this might actually be dead on. Let me go back. Yeah, so that's actually dead on, but it feels late because we hear it before we see it. And it's like, if we see it and hear it at the same time, it feels right. You know, so sometimes thinking you got to put it a little earlier than where the actual music is. And then that one is not precise, but it works because it's all that anticipation. This one I'm not a huge fan of, because I would either say put this a little earlier to make that sync be with the snare, or make it not be a pop. Make it, because it's a very strong pop movement that doesn't quite line up with the snare, but the movement that he does after it is perfect. So it's like the setup is perfect, but if you did it in a way that it wasn't like a one frame like jerk movement. Anyway. I love this. I love all this. Maybe this part right here. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Like, cause there's a hard snare hit, but she's also going alcohol. But he does sort of a weird like quick twist that's a little off from the snare hit. It's a little after the snare hit, and it's also not totally in line with the words. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. Thinking, I don't know, like it's a minor thing, but like, and then those I think are also a little late. Yeah, those it's great sync, but it's just like they're just frames late, and it's like it's the kind of thing that you can't really tell until you actually just watch it. Like it just feels a little off, and if they were like 2 or 3 frames earlier, it would feel right. It would feel like it's locked in. And then again with that, that one's a little late, and then this one's a little late, right here. Yeah, the last one's very late actually. Here. Yeah, you can see that. Oops. So those are the things that bother me a little. I think the biggest thing is just being more intentional about where you want it to be late and where you want it to be right on, where you want it to be fluid and where you want it to be sharp and exact. And maybe up until now, all that stuff was kind of accidental, and that's you know, that happy accidents are great. Happy accidents are happy accidents are where a lot of our best ideas come from. But that'd be my feedback. So now I've rambled on for I don't even know how long. Well, actually not that long, like 15 minutes. Whatever. Anything else? Oh, I guess Apple had out a while ago. I don't know when though. There's no timestamps in this YouTube live chat. Whatever. What is it? What did you say here? Thing with this type of track is you can make seconds really easily. I remade the first S-curve 10 times. Wait, are you saying that it takes a long time to make this stuff, or not a long time to make this stuff? I can't tell. Well. Oh. Oh, it doesn't take a long time. Well, yeah, then I just say, yeah. Spend a little more time on it. Make sure they're right on. Make it a little. Make sure the syncs are right where you want them to be. Be more intentional about when they're late and when they are literally right on and feel late, or when they feel right on and are literally a little early. And then yeah, like there's only a couple things in here where I was like, I guess there's only one curve in here that bugged me, which was this one right here. The rest are pretty solid in my eyes. Yeah, that's all. Well, this will be on the channel unlisted. If you want the link, you can hit me up. I think that's all. All right, signing out. I'll be in the chat after this, so I can answer any questions and whatever.